Ian Stevenson was based in Virginia University, and he was young Ian Stevenson, just a new psychiatrist in Virginia. And one mother brought a 4-year-old child, and this child was talking about another life. And Ian Stevenson was trying to understand what is going on, but he tried to get as much information from this child. He's talking about another life. And based on that information, he was able to locate that family also in the state of Virginia. And he found that there was a person who has died in that family, and more than 40 facts that this child was talking about matched with the reality of that person, deceased person. So he published that case in the Psychiatry Journal of America. This is in 1960s, 62. So there was lots of interest, from the medical world. He got grants to study this more. And more he published, he got more grants. In time there was a department within the Virginia University around him, and it was called Division for Perceptual Studies. So studying this, what is not completely, normal science. And during his lifetime, he was able to study in all 5 continents, including India, and the cases of reincarnation and following them up along with other parapsychologists. And there are more than 300 cases, more than 3,000 cases during his lifetime, and now they have got more than 24,000 cases. Understand now? So this is very interesting to see this, and 3,000 cases is a big number. You can see the pattern. If there are even 10 cases, you can see a pattern. In 3,000 cases, you can see a pattern. So he can tell what is the pattern of reincarnation, what happens. And I have met those people, I have been to that division of perceptual studies, know those people, the department well. So you can ask me more questions also if you want. But most interesting observation from him, injury from one life is seen into the next life. That is very interesting. So if a person is shot in the head, okay, he is shot in the head, but a child is born who remembers this life where he was, but in this new body, he will have a circular scar on the head where he was shot in the earlier life. So this is what is seen. His one book is called Birth Defects and Reincarnation. And he shows hundreds of cases, not one or two, hundreds of cases where injury from one life is seen into the other life. Many times some people are born with a mole, some mole in the hand or something. There is significance there behind. There is some kind of a drama in the earlier life around that area, and then there is some remnant. It doesn't come with a big injury or birth defects, but just a mole. So let us see this video of Ian Stevenson, and it is interview with him, and he is showing this birth defects connected with the past life.
An explanation that accounts for the phenomena in these cases other than reincarnation, but what reincarnation is, what is being reincarnated, that's of course still a very large question that's not fully understood.
Professor Stevenson has studied hundreds of birthmarks and birth defects in children who claim previous lives.
I'm particularly interested in a collection we have about 15 cases where there are 2 birthmarks corresponding to bullet wounds of entry and exit. And forensic pathologists know that nearly always if you shoot somebody, the bullet wound of entry is small and round, and the bullet wound of exit is large and irregular in shape. And that's the way our birthmarks, in about half of these cases, they correspond exactly that way.
This boy was born without a right ear, but with memories of the life of a man who was shot in the head.
He remembered the previous life of a peasant farmer, this was in Turkey, who went to sleep at the end of the day out in a pasture, and a neighbor came along hunting rabbits, and in the twilight mistook this sleeping peasant for a rabbit and shot him with a shotgun at point-blank range. We were able to go to the government hospital where the wounded man had been taken, and there we found a report showing that he died about 10 days later of hemorrhage in the brain. And this boy had memories of this man's life and his death.
The skull of a Turkish miller killed by a blow to the back of the head with a flour shovel. This picture is from the official post-mortem report. Later, a child claimed to remember the miller's life. The boy had a misshapen skull. Violent death occurs frequently in Stevenson's best cases. He speculates that the trauma of such a death may cause it to be remembered. This Burmese man recalled a previous life as a notorious bandit who was captured and executed for murder.
The hanging was bundled, so he had to be hanged twice. And the subject who had the memories of this brigand was born with a almost absent lower jaw. His mandible was exceedingly small, and his mouth was very narrow and tight, so that he really can only take liquid food, and he can't open his mouth. But birth defects of the kinds that we have in these cases are uncommon, and they're not the sort that you find in the textbooks of birth defects, the monographs, with rare exceptions. A few of them are, but most of them are not.
In a village in northern India in the 1970s, a small boy lost the fingers of his right hand in a fodder chopping machine. Later, the child died, but in a neighbouring village, a boy was born who claimed memories of the dead child's life. There was other evidence too. Lekpal's case was investigated by Dr. Stevenson and the Indian parapsychologist Dr. Satvant Pasricha.
अच्छा लेखपाल, पहले जन्म की बातें याद है तुम्हें?
यहाँ पर थोड़े कुछ बात जब छोटे छोटे थे तब थोड़े याद करो करते थे। फिर इलाज चलते हो। जैसे पिताजी ने मोह को वैसे शराब गाया पियो करते थे। उन्हें ऐसी मशीन फिराई दी तो हाथ वो कटियो। हम तो वहीं खड़े रह गए। उंगलियां पांच उनके सामने गिरी जाए। तब एकदम बड़बड़ाने भी सब कि लला हाथ कटियो हाथ कटियो।
तब तुम्हारा नाम क्या था?
हुक्म सिंह।
इस पे नाम लिखना मेरा फिर से। Being born with missing fingers is very rare, and the corresponding feature in the previous personality adds to its importance. So the same fingers were chopped.
We get an idea about the work. You can go into his website. You just need to type in Ian Stevenson reincarnation and you get connected to his pages. And then if you are interested, very interesting cases and videos also. You want to ask anything? One professor in Oxford, Penrose, he said, if Ian Stevenson is right, we all are wrong. because what Ian Stevenson is showing is the existence of consciousness beyond the body. Consciousness having its own existence, it goes from one body to another body. And so, where does evolution fit in here? Where does this, how do you explain it, the present models of science, where do they fit in? And you need to think differently. So that's why they say, if he is right, he shows the existence of this invisible, what we say, invisible guest and invisible traveler with the convincing. So if there is one case of this kind, it is so convincing. You have got thousands of cases, with all kinds of different stories. Like we saw some cases here, but all kinds. The stories where children know the secrets of the other life. 40 facts means they know almost everything of the other life. But they get emotions. It is not just they are trying to, they don't want to think of the other life, those children, because it brings them sorrow and things like that. They are living in that other family. And you just see some cases of this kind. One case is enough to tell us what really happens. But here we are not trying to prove or disprove that phenomena, but it is for ourselves. We are here totally, it brings a new perspective that you are not having the soul, but soul is having a body. You understand? Like old, they might say, yes, we believe in the soul, but there is a soul, I got a soul. But here the real position is, soul is the main player. Soul is the traveler. Soul is the actor. And he is using the body. Just as I am using this microphone, this is not important. Important is the one who is using it. Body is used by the player, and that player is invisible. He is the invisible traveler, and if that is the case, we have the option to experience it. Many times the question comes, okay, that higher consciousness, and we spoke about different aspects. It sounds all very good, but how to experience it, how to come to that experience. And game is here. I might encourage you to draw some of these sketches and keep them in your room, because this is like its own, like another study. Just like people are having some, you create time to answer an examination and all. So this is also, we need to create time for this. Like a student. It will not come without any effort. The prize is so big, and that little effort is totally justified in this. So as a student, you have to draw sketches and see which area needs reminders. Something like this definitely need a reminder, because our old habit is totally like the insect in that farm. That is our positioning. To be reminded ourselves that there is a sky, there is much more than that insect world. We need to create those reminders. This is another very important sketch. You may remove some of these arrows, but some important words that are important to you, write those words also. And in that practice, you are saying this is a story world. Your real world is beyond. That invisible player, he is the invisible traveler, and that is what we are interested in. Ego is the one that is so bothered about the story. is so obsessed with the story, ego. But you are becoming the friend of the soul. Yeah, any comments or any questions? Yeah?
Many times we have intuition. Okay, we have intuition many times, which has actually no relation to something which cannot be explained logically. So, I think that is something which comes from the soul, right? The intuitions, I believe, come from the soul.
There are functions within us which may not be explained at a physical level. There are things beyond. There are many other phenomena. At the paranormal level, and sometimes it may be correct intuition. Sometimes it appears intuition. It can be a false one also. Not that all intuitions, what we call intuition, is necessarily the right one. But yes, we come to know. You might be meaning premonition, to know what is going to happen in the future. That happens.
Yeah. I mean, personally, sometimes what has happened is, I don't agree with what people around tell me. Even though there are 10 people telling me, I feel that, no, this is not bad. I have something else which is better.
Right. Yeah, it is. Yeah, these are paranormal phenomena. Yeah.
Just a thought. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Since being a medical practitioner, I think my doubt will be maybe relevant. See, you mentioned about the reincarnation and all that. See, my doubt is whether all the persons reincarnated, are they having that birth defects, and why are not having the memory of the earlier life?
Yeah.
How will you explain?
Yeah. What we are seeing is a phenomena, and at least if it happens in one case, it creates a curiosity to know more. Now, what Ian Stevenson has observed, that most of these children start talking about past life around the age of 2. That is when they can start speaking. When they speak about my mummy and my this and my house, my dog Bruno, they talk about this. And then as time progresses, they can speak better, they can tell more clearly the details. But then by the age of 6, they forget everything, completely forget. It is that complete blank. That I met one such person. She was like this, 6 years, 8 years of age, and that time she was speaking about such details, But I met her again when she was 18 years of age, and she doesn't want to know, didn't remember anything. She doesn't even know that she was talking of that past. And that's complete blank. Same person. So this happens, So what Ian Stevenson feels, possibly this phenomena is a lot more common, but children forget by the age of 2. And that they remember at an earlier age, but then they can't speak. But when they can speak, then by that time they have forgotten. And it is good that we forget. Those who remember the past lives, they can't be settled in this life. That is that they are disturbed. Like one example, in Lebanon, this girl, she died in the earlier life of some brain tumor, She was operated in USA, but died in USA. But another girl is born in Lebanon, and then as she grew, she says, I was that lady and I was that person. Okay, so she remembers the other life, okay. In this case, she remembers the life even beyond the age of 6. But the problem is, she says, I'm the wife of that person. I want to be in that family, I want to be with him. But he is now married again, he has got a family. And she keeps ringing him. And he doesn't want to speak to this because he's married. But and it is creating a problem, and to the family, to everybody, because to her also is a big problem, because she can't be settled in this life. She doesn't accept this present situation of hers whole life. She is still not married. She doesn't want to marry. Says that he is my husband and I want to be in that family. This is her position, And but same thing happens with many others. They can't be settled in this life. So this phenomena where we forget, that may be a necessary thing in the nature. One thing that they have observed out of these 3,000 cases, 24,000 cases, all these cases in the one life and the other life, they are human lives. Not one case is animal. So there are different ideas about reincarnation, but this study shows that this reincarnation of humans happen at a human level. Understand, no? Another thing that is observed in this study, we can cross the borders. Means we can go into other family, other religion, other nation, other race. There are cases of all kinds. We go anywhere. Rebirth can happen to any place. But large majority of reincarnations are within the same community, and to be reborn in the same family is very common. Understand? To be reborn in the same family, as some nephews, grandson, this kind of a position is very common. If someone is born within an year of the death, to consider this a possibility. Also children's games and plays, what they gravitate to, that reflects on the past life. Like one pilot, he died of he was a military pilot in USA, and in this life, his toys are all aeroplanes. Green aeroplanes, blue aeroplanes was everywhere. He draws aeroplanes, small aeroplanes, big aeroplanes. And he was a pilot in the past life. Yeah.
Sir, how does one know which side of the line they are at present? Is there a thumb rule like unhappy and successful people are on the bottom side, and if you're on the other side, you are happy and successful? How does one assess which side of the line they are in?
This line, this dotted line.
Yeah.
And this line is minute to minute for the effort makers. That dotted line. What we show here, this dotted line, we are representing ignorance. So if I am on above the line, then the feeling will be, I am visiting this world just like a guest. That whole thing is extra. Every moment is a gift, and the invisible traveler has a world beyond. Just as we all feel we are in this building, but we are going to go back to our house. We are here just for an hour, and we are going to go back. That is there, all the time you are feeling. and suddenly there can be whatever here, we may have to go 5 minutes early, 5 minutes late, but we are not from here. Same is the feeling when we are above the line, that we are just passing through this physical world. And who feels this? The invisible witness feels this. And he feels everything, including this body, role, drama that is going on. It is all over here. And drama has got its script, it may continue, it may end, but I'm going to go. I'm not from here and I lose nothing. That feeling of complete independence. During that time we are on the right side of the line. The moment we cross that line, it appears as if this is my world. I have come here to settle. We even use the language. I want to settle down here and this is my place and this is my... So it means we have crossed the line. And then there is complete disconnection. There is no thought about we are disconnected from the home, disconnected from the true family, disconnected from the self, we are disconnected from everything of ours. Does that help? You want to add anything? Let us get the microphone.
So I have two questions. The first one, higher consciousness is our aim. Is it possible to be in that higher consciousness always? That is my first question.
Let me answer. We start with 1 minute, half a minute. We start with this, maybe even getting glimpse of it, but that is normal for us. Eventually it will become natural. This is the abnormal state. Just like for the birds, to fly is normal, to use wings is normal. In the same way, for us to stay in that higher consciousness is natural and normal. But we have to create practice.
So consciously we have to practice that?
Yeah.
Okay, sir, thank you. Then my second question. So we were discussing on the physical world and the non-physical world. So, and about the vertical growth and the horizontal world we live in. So, do we have to conceive both the worlds at the same time? So what is the methodology for that? So living in this horizontal world and we have to go to a higher realm, a vertical realm. So we cannot ignore the horizontal world and think of the vertical world only. So how both these? What is the methodology for that? So scientific methodology will not be enough for that, I think.
Sure. Nice. In spiritual university, 2 words are used, and they are nice words. I keep them. They are Sanskrit origin. One word is paras, and the other word is patthar. These 2 words are used for the intellect. Patthar intellect and paras intellect. Patthar is gross, a stone. It is like a stone. And with the patthar intellect, I cannot see the subtle and eternal. We can't access. Day in and day out, you are caught in that story. If I am using patthar, as if that is my world. If I use paras can see the bigger map. What you see there, this whole sketch, that you can see and experience if we use paras. Now, with our body, just an example, we have got many muscles in the body. And muscles that you don't use, they atrophy. Muscles that you use, they become stronger. Someone who is very, to one who is a swimmer, you can make out, because his muscles will be different. Someone who is jumping, his muscles will be different. Muscles that you use more, they will become stronger. Muscles that you don't use, they remain weak. Agree? Same happens with our brain also. If you don't use certain brain functions, those brain cells literally die. For example, even 10 years ago, people used to remember the telephone numbers of their friends. Agree? In our lifetime. We had a long time ago, we used to remember the telephone numbers of each other. Do you remember telephone number of your friends now? No. Who remembers your telephone number of 5 friends? No, because your mobile phone is doing that job for you. Who remembers your own telephone number? Okay. But it is not a good news, because we are not using the brain to remember. That those brain cells will die. And then you will find that you are not able to remember simple numbers because of that. When those brain cells are strong, you can remember many more very easily, because you are used to remembering names, numbers, you remember more, and it becomes easy. Because you are not remembering, even the small number you will have difficulty to remember. That is what happens. Now here we are saying, we all got paras, but we have not used paras for a long time. I'm taking long time, because you don't need paras to deal with this world, the ordinary world. We are introducing this new bigger map, bigger model, we are introducing this. We have to use paras to even understand it. And it is a great news, because if you use it for 1 minute, you are giving exercise to the paras. You are seeing the invisible traveler, invisible home, there is eternity there, and we are coming through this. You are trying to grapple with it, but the paras is getting exercise. You do it again another minute, paras is getting exercise. You do it for like this, 1 minute, 10 times a day for 1 month, then paras will find it more normal and natural. Try and see, it is a bit like this. As you, just like with anything, you use muscles, they become stronger. You can't run a marathon on the first day, but if you practice, you can run a marathon. Some time ago, and I think a couple of years ago, someone who is 100 years of age, is based in London, he ran a marathon and completed the marathon. He was 100 years of age. He started training when he was 92 years of age. He has decided, I'm going to do the marathon. He decided it at the age of 92, and he actually took part and completed when he was 100 years of age. It is giving us an idea, anything is possible. You can build muscles anytime. And if you can do that, you can also do. It is not a huge achievement to run a marathon, but if you use that kind of determination for paras, you get a biggest prize that is ever possible.